So in our last video,
we were wrong.
I'm Dakota.
I'm Melissa.
And we're Luna's Nature. So in the last video, we wanted to get the frame sandblasted. However, after only getting one response after reaching out to a few places, we decided just to recondition it ourselves. So even after trying some hand tools, using a sanding block, a wire brush, and a paint scraper,
we've decided to just sandblast it ourselves. We're gonna buy a tool that will allow us to sandblast it on our own. It's a cool, nifty little thing, and we're gonna see if it works. Booyah! Ah!
Next, after sandblasting, we had the frame totally prepped. We put a coat of primer on the frame and then 2 coats of paint.
We're trying to go with a retro vibe, so we colored it a bright, bright yellow. We also removed all the wooden floor supports, and we recrafted them into a higher quality than the original.
After installing the floor supports and painting them, we moved on to the next part of the trailer. We're in the process of rebuilding the side floor supports. This is the wooden framing that bolts onto the steel frame which the entire camper shell rests on. We first started with the rear left side and found a few issues which we addressed in the later ones. Most notably of these issues, because the shell rests on these supports, there's a constant downward force thanks to gravity. So,
the first one we replaced, we didn't support the shell, and so it sagged.
Because of this, it made it a pain to jack the shell back up to attach to these wooden supports. Part of the trailer frame was actually sagging, right in the middle there where that last spar is. So for the next ones, we used the installed trailer jacks to jack the entire trailer up, install wooden supports on the sides, and then we raised up the trailer jack so that way we took the weight of the shell off the trailer frame. So we fixed that by putting 2 screws through the frame on this last vertical member and screwing this piece of wood to it, and then we put some shims at the bottom to raise the entire thing up. So we have an issue with installing this last side support. So we have the, of course, trailer frame that attaches here, and the other side heater. However, this piece is not supposed to be sticking out. It did get bent a little bit while we were taking out the last support, but it was also already bent a bit.
We took a blowtorch to it to heat the metal to make it more pliable, as well as to ensure that it wouldn't crack when we hammered it back into shape. Since the placement of the bracket was hidden behind the structure's frame, we screwed a bolt we had on hand through the nail pulling hole on a crowbar. This allowed us to get the leverage of a hammer swing to apply the necessary force to bend the metal back.
After fixing it, we installed the newly built side support and bolted it in place.
Issue that we found when replacing the first support was that the shell moved as we removed the old parts.
Since the different layers of the aluminum skin were usually stapled to the parts that we were removing, this made the different layers of the aluminum skin come apart. We have these seams where the actual skin comes together, and it was actually falling out of the seam right here, since there's nothing holding it on right here except for just the friction of the material. So basically we took our rivet gun. We decided just to put a few rivets in to help it hold it in place while we install the new framing. You can see over here we did the same thing, and then we would screw the shell back onto the new framing and remove the pop rivets if they were in the way.
Last we removed the door. To install the new flooring
and replace the old support framing in the front of the trailer,
we took off the door to better accomplish this.
we moved on to tearing out the front bottom framing. We measured the width and height, built the new framing, and tested it out. We found it was a little bit too high, so we took it out and cut it down 1/4 inch. And found out it was a little bit too high still, so we took it out and cut it out again. And found it was a little bit too high still, so we took it out and cut it down again. and then it was good.
So we glued and screwed the floor in place, followed by the framing.
Instead of moving on to the middle flooring, we then looked at the condition of the trailer's surge brakes. Surge brakes activate when a vehicle pulling the trailer slows down, which puts a pressure from the trailer tongue onto the vehicle pulling it. So after greasing the bearings up, we put the brake and wheel assembly back together.
Looking forward, we'll finish rebuilding some of the framing, install the wheel well covers and the center flooring, put insulation and walling in, and move on to building our interior. This brings us to what our plans are. So when you walk into the trailer, you'll be greeted on your right side with a countertop and then our bathroom directly ahead. On the left, you will see our closet, and across from that, we will have a sink and another countertop. Next to our closet will be a pantry. At the back of the trailer, you will find our bed/couch.
So this is the general concept for what we're going to do moving forward, we think. Thanks for checking out what we've been up to, and stay tuned for next time.
If you like this video, give us a thumbs up.
Or subscribe if you keep wanting to see content of us restoring this vintage travel trailer. And lastly, if you want to see what we're doing on the trailer a little bit more in depth, you can always check out our website, lunasnature.com, for more in-depth articles of what we're up to.